continuing with the various forms of Avalokiteshvara, and having discussed that there are six main iconic figures of Avalokiteshvara. Iconic here meaning that they're fixed. They're tantric forms that are essentially used for meditation, and they are not dynamic. The artist does not have a lot of flexibility in how to portray these six forms. These six forms are described in the Tantra texts, and their purpose is meditation. So they're fixed objects. So one of the six forms that we've not talked about really is in Tibetan. It's Khasarpani. Now this is actually a Sanskrit word. In the Tibetan they just put the sound e on the end, but actually in more proper Sanskrit it should be Kasarpana. Kasarpana is a word that relates to a narrative, an episode in the stories of Avalokiteshvara, where Avalokiteshvara flew from the Potalika mountain to a region of human habitation where he was engaging with a practitioner, a pandita. So we get this story of this form of Lokeshvara is known as the Kasarpana, the Lokeshvara that flew through the air to the location of this Indian Pandita. Okay, so there's not really a whole lot known about this story. There are more details, but there's not a whole lot known. I've also not found the source text. I'm actually using Jonang Taranata's History of Buddhism to come up with that portion of it, although I've not looked in all the Sanskrit sources either. Now, Khasarpana Lokeshvara has the same general physical appearance as Green Tara. So he has a peaceful appearance, male, white in color, one face, two arms, two legs. The right leg is extended downwards. The left leg is drawn upwards. The right arm is extended across the right knee with the palm facing out. The left hand is held at the heart, holding the stem of a lotus flower. The right hand also holds the stem of a lotus flower, and both blossom over the right and left shoulders. Very peaceful, very beautiful in appearance. Now, this form of Avalokiteshvara has many, many different traditions. And it's also commonly confused and conflated with other forms of Lokeshvara. Now, the main ones are the five deities. So that's where we have a Green Tara, we have Hayagriva, we have a Manidharan, we have a Brakuti. We have different four figures which accompany the Kasarpana. Then we also have Kasarpana Amogapasha, five deities. So this is a real conflation where the central figure of the five deity Amogapasha, is it actually Kasarpana or is it Lokeshvara Amogapasha? Who is it? Different texts will say different things. Some texts will call the Lokeshvara Kasarpana, and other texts will specifically not. Then we have the tradition of Nakrin. Then we have the tradition of Tropulotsawa. And this one is identical in appearance to Lokeshvara resting in the nature of mind. And as some of you will recall, Lokeshvara resting in nature of mind actually has a different appearance than Kasarpana. So here we have a conflation where we're using this term, Kasarpana, for even different physical appearances, different forms of Lokeshvara. Then we have the Kasarpana, which is taught and described in the Sarvadurgati Tantra, and that's a Yoga Tantra. Most of the forms and the texts for the Kasarpana are Kriya Tantra. And then we have a Khasarpana Lokeshvara 13 deity mandala. So we have many different types. And there's a lot of conflation, and then there is some confusion as to which is truly a Kasarpana. Can Kasarpana be distinguished from the Amogapasha? So these are really the questions. Now, Why is any of this important? Well, actually, it's not. It's really an art history discussion. The Khasarpana Lokeshvara really fell out of favor, fell out of popularity, really in the 17th century in the Himalayas and Tibet. Also, about the same time that the Amogapasha, five deity, and other Amogapasha practices fell out of favor. So we really don't have a lot of art from the 17th century to the present. Really, these are art history discussions because we really have a lot of primarily sculpture. For these different forms, Kasarpana, Amogapasha, and variations on both. We have a lot of sculpture that go back to the 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th century. In terms of being a living tradition, sure, these practices are carried on, but they are not popular as teachings today, and they are not really popular or found in art for the last few hundred years.